Welcome to our coverage of NAB 2012.
We're here with Chuck from Canon. Now, Chuck, you guys have paved the way for DSLR cinema, and now you're introducing a camera that's going to change everything for the average cinema shooter.
We've got the EOS 1DC here at NAB 2012. I'm really excited to bring it into the show. This is our first 4K digital SLR. And based on the 1DX model that we announced last October, has all the same basic capabilities for still imaging, 18.1 megapixel full frame, up to 12 frames a second for JPEG and RAW, 61-point autofocus. All of that stuff is preserved here. But on the video side, we've taken some major steps forward. So with the 1DC, the headline feature is 4K, 24 frame per second, 8-bit 422 directly recorded to the CF card in the camera. And in addition to that, we've upgraded the HD functionality on the camera substantially. It now does up to 60 frames per second in 1080p. And it has a Super 35 crop function as an optional feature that lets you punch in for a tighter shot, and it also makes the camera compatible with our digital cinema zoom lenses. Now, the other features that are important, we have Canon Log Gamma, which makes the footage of this camera directly able to be intercut with footage from our C300 and C500 Cinema EOS cameras. We also have external, actually I should say clean HD via HDMI, so you can record your HD footage right out of the HDMI port into an external recorder, 8-bit 422. And that's a big feature request that we've had from a lot of customers in the past. There's also a headphone jack for audio monitoring, embedded time code, of course. The LCD continues to operate even when the HDMI monitor is plugged in. There's no time limit on recording at all with the 1DC, just up to the capacity of your recorder. So basically a lot of forward movement on video capability in an SLR form factor. It'll be out by the end of this year, and we're expecting a list price of about $15,000.
Our coverage of NAB 2012 is brought to you by Kessler, innovative tools for filmmakers. Lettuce Direct. It's better with lettuce. LettuceDirect.com. Next Lights. Get lit.
Let me ask you, you've packed so many incredible features in this camera, but you decided to continue with the DSLR form factor instead of, say, putting into your C500 series of cinema cameras. So why did you go with a still camera form factor and maintaining all these features?
Well, I think that for us, one of the key considerations is the fact that the form factor on EOS 1 is very, very small relative to a lot of the other 4K devices that are out there. And it was also a way for us to be able to take advantage of what we'd already built in terms of the sensor and the processor that are so good for both still and video capabilities. So this is not necessarily saying that we'll never go anywhere else in terms of product design, but it is giving our customers a new option that they didn't have before.
Now, Chuck, obviously the C300 was well accepted. It's been very popular among shooters, but you decided not to stop there. You've released the C500 with many additional features that people have been asking for.
Yeah, exactly. When we actually were designing the C300, we already were thinking ahead, and one of the ideas that we had was to come out with a 4K version. So the C500 is exactly that. We're able to use the same sensor and the same processor that we have in the C300, same body with the same control layout. That helped us to get the product to market very quickly. But at the same time, we were able to add the 4K capabilities and really improve the overall performance of the equipment dramatically.
Our coverage of NAB 2012 is brought to you by Cinovate, tools for filmmakers and photographers. Delaluz, apparel for filmmakers. Zeiss, we make it visible.
Now, compared to the C300, the first thing that obviously changed was the grip. And I'm going to point out here that basically, whereas the C300 had a removable grip that was just a control dial and a button, this is a permanent grip that contains all the circuitry and jacks for the 4K output. So there are two 3G SDI ports and two monitor ports here. If we're recording 4K from 1 to 30 frames per second, we can just use a single 3G SDI port as we're doing here. If we need to go higher than 30, all the way up to 60 frames a second at full 4K resolution, we'll use both 3G SDIs. Now, we also have ability to do what's called half RAW, where it's the same 4096 horizontal resolution, but it's only 1080 vertical, and that allows us to go up to 120 frames per second in 4K. Now, this is raw video coming out, 10-bit, and it goes into an external recorder and then gets processed into either a DPX or OpenEXR file that is now able to be operated through nonlinear editing. So it's a very, very thoroughly designed system with a lot of cooperation from other partners in the industry for the external recorders and also the editing. Now, in addition to the 4K, we don't want to forget that this camera is also upgraded substantially compared to the C300 on the 2K and the Full HD. And that is that we now have 10-bit and 12-bit options on your video coming out, and it is also basically an uncompressed video signal, so that you can improve the quality of the video, and you also have higher frame rates all the way up to potentially 120 frames per second. So with this C500 and all the other features that it inherited from the C300, it really becomes a tremendous capture device for all kinds of 4K assignments, whether it's motion picture or television or anywhere in between.
Well, it's exciting to see the tried and true format that Canon has come across with, adopted for any cinema needs out there. Thanks for your time, Chuck.
Thank you, Tony.
Stay tuned for more coverage fresh from the floor.